When we think of a wasteland, what do we see? I see a desert abandoned long ago, with no signs of life. I see Chernobyl, decaying into radioactive dust. I see a land so overused by humans that nature itself has left out of sheer disgust.
Simon Bolivar's last words were, "Damn it, how will I ever get out of this labyrinth?" Bolivar's labyrinth of suffering exemplifies a quintessential aspect of humanity. How do we, as humans, escape the wasteland that has befallen our society? Is it through asking the right questions, as Eliot's allusions to the Fisher King would suggest, or through our surrender to something much larger than ourselves, as the fire sermon clearly advises? Eliot's allusion to the fire sermon in Hindu Upanishad suggests that in order to escape the wasteland, humans must learn to give, to be compassionate, and to have self-control. However, before we can analyze how to effectively escape this waste-ridden labyrinth, we must first understand what caused it. Industrialism, warfare, spiritual corruptions, desire, loss of tradition, and unproductivity has played a pivotal role in the deterioration of society.
Eliot's use of industrialism and warfare within the wasteland paints a vivid picture of an empty, broken society that cannot seem to find emotional satisfaction. For example, Eliot states, "At the violet hour, when the eyes and back turn upward from the desk, when the human engine waits, like a taxi throbbing, waiting." Eliot describes a common type worker. He personifies her as an engine who operates routinely. It's as if she's an automaton. There is no emotional response from her, only a set of actions repeated day after day, draining her of her humanity. This demonstrates that Eliot's society is emotionally unresponsive due to the increasing emphasis on industrial life. If that's not disturbing, the description of the river certainly is. The river's tent is broken, the last fingers of leaf clutch and sink into the wet bank. The wind crosses the brown land, unheard. The nymphs are departed. Sweet Thames, run softly, till I end my song. The river bears no empty bottles, sandwich papers, silk handkerchiefs, cardboard boxes, cigarette ends, or other testimony of summer nights. The nymphs are departed, and their friends, the loitering heirs of city directors, departed, have left no addresses. Through the use of fragmentation, Eliot points out the effects of humans on nature. The clutching fingers of leaves demonstrates the sheer desperation that humans are currently experiencing as they attempt to find some type of emotional satisfaction. It is obvious from "the nymphs are departed" that the previous inhabitants of the river have long gone. Eliot's choice to describe a river lacking objects associated with human life implies that humans are not only unproductive, but also incapable of leaving behind anything of significance. War has always been known to leave its mark on humanity, whether physically or psychologically. In The Wasteland, Eliot uses characters that struggle with visions of war to demonstrate their inability to be productive. He also shows the deterioration and fragmentation of their psychological state, a state that Eliot feels represents society. Eliot states, "Those are pearls that were his eyes. Are you alive or not? Is there nothing in your head?" Eliot uses the allusion to Ariel's song in The Tempest to explain that while the male character in this dialogue may not be physically dead, his mind is. The man is an emotionless being, dead and unproductive after surviving the war. When the speaker asks if he is alive, she is actually asking whether he's alive psychologically. If he is alive, the man can give new life by being a productive member of society. But instead, he remains an empty shell, unable to find fulfillment or peace, and continues to contribute to the rising pile of souls in the wasteland. Eliot's use of warfare is yet another reason for the suffering within the wasteland. The fragmented, psychological state of surviving soldiers decreases the amount of productivity within society, and thus increases the inability to escape the wasteland. Eliot states, "I think we are in Rat's Alley, where the dead men lost their bones." The male speaker sees reality as the trenches he once maneuvered through. This imagery ties together the unfulfilling life of industrialism with that of warfare. There's no rebirth or regeneration, as the bones rattled by the rat's foot year to year suggest, nor is there, from an industrial standpoint, any productivity. If there is productivity, there is the opportunity to be reborn, or in other words, to find fulfillment in life. However, in this wasteland, there is none. Eliot's use of desire not only sheds light on the emptiness within humanity, but also the sterility that desire has become. Eliot states, "I could not speak, and my eyes failed. I was neither living nor dead, and I knew nothing." Eliot describes the limited state the people in the wasteland inhabit. They are simply empty. They have no emotion, and as hard as they may try, they cannot seem to find anything to satisfy their lack of it. These people aren't really living, because unfulfilled love still exists. Perhaps the most notable account of unrequited love is that of the type worker. Eliot states, "The meal is ended, she is bored and tired, endeavors to engage her in caresses, which still are unreproved, if undesired. Flushed and decided, he assaults at once. Exploring hands encounter no defense. His vanity requires no response, and makes a welcome of indifference." It is evident from this scene that Eliot believes humans to be incapable of emotional fulfillment. What was once desire has become sterile. It is simply lust for lust's sake. She is completely indifferent to him, and has been craving any form of sustenance that she even allows him to assault her. She hopes that by letting him use her, he will help fill the physical and emotional void that has been blocking her fulfillment. Eliot, however, believes it is better to be dead than to be used indifferently. The fire of craving, the fire sermon states, is what fuels the fire of hate and the fire of delusion. Worldly sensations, such as hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking, are the causes of our suffering, and through the detachment of oneself, there will no longer be an issue of life or death, and therefore no more suffering. The causes of the wasteland parallel those within the fire sermon. Industrialism, war, desire, and unproductivity are all caused by our senses. By becoming dispassionate, one learns to detach oneself from the senses. From detachment comes liberation, and finally knowledge, which is the ultimate happiness. So how exactly do we find our way out of this wasteland? Well, both Eliot and the Buddhists explain the way in 3 simple steps. First, there is to give.
Datta, what have we given, my friend, blood shaking my heart, the awful daring of a moment's surrender. By this, and this only, we have existed, which is not to be found in our obituaries, or in the memories draped by the beneficent spider, or under seals broken by the lean solicitor in our empty rooms. Datta means to give. What Eliot is really asking is, what have we given? Eliot is clearly worried about the increasing selfishness within the emerging technological society. The point is, humans should not give simply to be recognized, but for the sake of giving. Nor should we wait until we're dead to give away our things, as the broken seal suggests. If we wait until we're dead to give, the only person to take them will be a lawyer, as everyone else will be gone. Second, one must act with compassion. Diet thump. I have heard the key. Turn in the door once and turn once only. We think of the key, each in his prison. Thinking of the key, each confirms a prison. Only at nightfall, ethereal rumors revive for a moment a broken Coriolanus. Diathum means compassion. The speaker hears a key turning within his prison. This prison is our own egotistical selfishness, or our own way of looking at the world. In the modern world, it's tough to know what real compassion is, because we can never get past our own concerns. It's possible that we couldn't be compassionate even if we wanted to.
since we lack the spiritual knowledge to do so. Third, humans must learn self-control. Damyata. The boat responded, gaily, to the hand expert with sail and oar. The sea was calm. Your heart would have responded, gaily, when invited, beating obedient, to controlling hands. Damyata means self-control. One of the biggest problems with the modern world, apart from our selfishness, is the fact that we don't resist temptation anymore. If we want something, we buy it. Eliot is telling us to be obedient to something greater or more powerful than ourselves. Regardless of this powerful being, humans cannot assume happiness, or instant gratification, is the most important thing in the world. That would be ignoring what the thunder said. The poem closes with the repetition of the 3 words the thunder said, which again means give, show compassion, and self-control. It is advice Eliot gives if we are to have any hope of moving forward and finding fulfillment. Ending on a slightly uplifting note, Eliot seems to point us toward non-Western religions as a way to restore our faith and fulfillment. Perhaps this is the way out of the labyrinth of suffering. Maybe we're not so doomed after all.